All right, guest time. In the drop zone now, Tyrrell Hatton, our first player in the drop zone. How you doing?
Oh, good, thanks. Yourself?
Good. You tore it up yesterday. You and Rafa finished the PGA with a couple of 64s.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
That was obviously a good day. Nice to finish off the last major of the year well, and always good to move up the leaderboard.
Now, last year, no made cuts in all the majors.
Yeah.
This year, made the cut in every major.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do you explain that kind of switch?
Well, it's one of those things you can't kind of pick and choose when you play well. And it was just unfortunate the majors just fell on bad weeks for me last year. Obviously at the start of this year I was quite keen to make sure I did well in the majors. A couple of top 10s is good.
Of course, now you can't talk about yesterday's event without talking about Tiger. I mean, the guy was incredible, and that's why I was happy to follow you on Twitter, because I knew you were going to send a GIF out. You were the king of Twitter GIFs,
Yeah.
man. I was waiting for it, and you reacted to this ridiculous approach he hit on 15.
Yeah.
How long of a search does it take you to find the GIF?
Not long, you just got to type in the right thing.
What did you type in?
You put me on the spot now, I can't
I'm
think
sorry.
what I typed in yesterday.
So where were you when you were watching this all go down? You had finished your round a little while before, you made your charge. Did you hang around?
No, I had some lunch and then headed back to the hotel, and I was just watching the golf in the hotel room. I was waiting for Tiger to do something that I could actually post out about.
Yeah,
so
you're
when
picking
he hit,
your spot.
Yeah, so the 9-iron into 15 seemed like the perfect moment.
Bellerive was insane for the crowds. I mean, I think that's something that everyone's going to take away from it. Is
Yeah.
Brooks said most people have ever seen it at course. Francesco said the same thing. Was it that crazy?
I think, well, if you were around the TV groups, it was.
Oh, you guys both shot 64. You and Tiger both shot 64
No big deal.
yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously the crowds were unbelievable throughout the weeks, especially over the weekend. But I think partly that's due to obviously the Tiger effect.
I mean, when it comes to your season,
Yeah.
now you've pretty much made yourself a Ryder Cup player. Are you thinking Ryder Cup already? Do you need to start looking at the playoff events first? When do you turn it over into the Ryder Cup?
To be honest, I don't think about the Ryder Cup
Does
until I
anybody?
get asked about it with the media.
Yeah.
My focus now is obviously the FedEx, so I think I'm 89th in the FedEx at the moment. Ideally, I'd like to get through to at least the third one.
Yeah.
And then that will give me a couple of weeks off before Ryder Cup, which would be great. A couple of weeks back home is always nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll just take each tournament as it comes, and then Ryder Cup week, then I can kind of start focusing on that.
So there's not a whole lot of smack talk going on in these, like, I think that fans like to picture that, you know, the Euro side and the Americans are just going at each other all season, but it might be a little overstated until the week of.
Yeah, I think so. There's a few passing comments in the crowd, especially last week. But,
Yeah.
you know, it's a bit of banter, it's all good fun.
But what are some of the biggest differences playing the Euro Tour versus being over here in the States? And is there a difference in the players themselves and how they interact with each other? Or?
One of the big differences is probably just the atmosphere at tournaments. You know, on the PGA Tour, they generally get bigger crowds, which as a player is good to play in front of. It's nice to have that atmosphere, and it makes it feel like a bigger tournament. So I'd say that's one thing that's definitely slightly different compared to the European Tour.
Now that makes me think of the Dunhill, because dude, you own the Dunhill,
Yeah,
right?
this is your spot.
What is working there
Well,
for you?
yeah,
Jeez, wow.
the Dunhill's been kind to me the last 2 years. It didn't like me the first 2 years I played it though, so it was a bit of a love-hate relationship at the start, I guess. But
Love right now.
yeah, no, it's been good. I've enjoyed the last couple of years, obviously, playing with Jamie Dornan.
Now, before we get to non-golf stuff, we got to ask you about the Masters this year, because Dylan and I were out there at Amen Corner.
Yeah, a Saturday at Amen Corner. Yeah, we were sitting in the bleachers.
I'm just curious
on
if you
11.
remember this, because we're sitting there watching guys come through.
We
and
sat there all day.
We
And
really
you missed a putt, you kind of stared down your putt, and then you dropped your putter, but then it sort of fumbled and it almost fell into the creek.
Do you
on
remember
11. Do you have any memory of this? Because I thought it was the funniest thing. And you kind of stared down your putt like it had done something wrong to you, which it probably had.
It happens on most greens, I think, but I think because it happens fairly often, I can't really remember it too
All right.
well.
Fair enough.
It got us excited.
Yeah, well, and that is something that I know fans connect with you about, is you show your emotions from time to time. You let people know how you're feeling in a good way, and you know, I think that's something people can relate to.
Yeah, well, I've always kind of been that way You know, you could say wearing your heart on your sleeve kind of thing. It's just how I play. I guess I don't get overly excited when the good stuff happens, but if the bad stuff, then yeah, I don't enjoy that so much.
Do you remember the bad ones more than the good ones?
Sometimes, yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, shorts on tour.
Yeah.
You were posing the question. You were just kind of threw it out there. You didn't really take a stance.
Yeah,
Do you think you should be playing in shorts on tour?
I mean, I like the tradition of obviously wearing trousers and
Sean's
stuff.
shaking his
I
head
like the
yes
idea.
over
But
there. He wants shorts.
I also think that you should at least have the option. I don't see why it should be an issue. If you want to wear shorts, then you wear shorts. I think it's personal preference.
I can confirm jeans in St. Louis in the summer, awful decision. Tyrrell, thanks for joining us here in the Drop Zone.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.